What is going on, everybody? It is almost over. It is almost over. It is episode 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+. My name is Brett. This is Pop Culture Crisis, except for it's a bonus episode where we struggle to get our way through the joyous experience that is the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney+ series. I am here with my co-host, my equally suffering co-host. I'm being mean right now. I don't even know if she's suffering, but it is what it is. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm okay, actually. Hey, crisis actors. It's Mary.
And we also have a guest, the one who is responsible for all of this turmoil.
The bringer
and
of
strife.
all of your suffering.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
You're really the problem.
True, yeah. I'm Andrew, game developer here at Timcast.
And bringer of pain.
Bringer of pain, Star Wars nerd.
I'm overstating it. I mean, the biggest issue with this is more that it's just kind of bleh.
It is underwhelming.
I mean, it had more action and more plot movement than the past few episodes, because the last one I just was confused, like, why any of that was happening. But I guess the only reason any of it was happening was to move us to where we were in the last.
Yeah, the last episode kind of felt like a filler, which seems odd for a 6-episode series, but we got a filler episode.
So I would like you to go ahead and give everyone the rundown about the plot for this episode.
Sure. So where we left off, Reva fails yet again at getting Obi-Wan, which is the one thing she was tasked to do. Darth Vader naturally is not happy about this. We talked last time about how he should have just killed her on the spot, but he doesn't. And so instead, at the start of this episode, he promotes her to Grand Inquisitor. Which makes a very odd and out-of-character choice, I should say.
Especially given the revelation later that,
my theory that I brought up last time, I think that was last time, was correct.
Which one was that?
That she wanted to get close to Vader and betray him.
To take him out, yes. Yeah. The shot of young...
To get revenge for Order 66.
The shot of young Reva is like the funniest shot I've ever seen in my... Yeah. It was like...
That child had one facial expression.
Yeah, it was
so that's fitting then, no?
Yes. They hired the right, little actress for that
so we
role.
Talked about previously this theory of one of the children during that first new Order 66 shot that we got in the first episode of
there would have been no purpose to that
That's
scene.
the thing, right? That scene wouldn't have existed if one of those children were not Reva, and as it turns out, that is the case.
Yes.
So, she gets a nice little promotion for all of her failures. Don't know how that one worked out.
You fail upwards in Hollywood, so it's normal to think that that's how it works in the real world.
Especially because, spoilers, as you're about to allude to, the actual Grand Inquisitor, I guess the previous one, is still alive.
Is still alive. Who would have thought? So, apparently, what I've learned is that lightsabers are ridiculously ineffective in the show right now.
That's what we're learning.
They're not safe, they're about as effective as safe and effective here. So, like, it literally was just like that guy comes back. I'm like, of course, because nothing makes sense.
Where was he, like, stabbed or like wounded?
In like the
chest,
stomach.
How can you get stabbed through your your core, and it's like
with a beam of plasma?
Yeah. And it's like pretty big.
Yeah.
And you're just like, meh.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Well, he was angry and wanted revenge, so that's what kept him alive, or so he says.
Okay.
This is gonna sound mean, but the character of Reva inspires so little of anything in me that I can't imagine anything like.
Oh my gosh.
No amount.
When she started screaming, I was like actually taken aback.
I will say, I made one note for the show. The best work that this actress was given to do this entire show was the scene of her and Luke at the door, her and Obi-Wan at the door, talking.
But then
and
why
her
were they talking at the door?
So
she could have opened it the whole time.
Let's slow down. Give a little context, right? So basically, so after the interaction with Vader and Reva, pretty much the rest of the episode takes place on this planet, which is called Jabib, where Obi-Wan has
Jabib. I thought it was Jabim.
I think it was Jabib.
Jabib.
I believe
I'm
Jabib.
sticking with Jabim.
That's what I wrote. So
okay,
Jim Beam.
But that's where
on the planet Jim Beam.
That's where Obi-Wan and Leia and his little rebel crew are, and that's where they're trying to get off of to get back to Alderaan. Raven, we know from last episode, has been tracking them, so Darth Vader pulls up, and it's basically a big brawl where they try to capture Obi-Wan and take out the rebels.
Yep.
So, the scene that Mary wants to yell about is basically they reach this bunker where everyone's at, and Reva, before actually breaking through the door, has a conversation with
How did he hear her?
So that's the thing. Yeah, right. There's like a whole active combat scene going. They were just They were just trying to.
It's the Force.
They just fired like massive guns at this door.
It's a huge metal door.
Can the Force like let them communicate telepathically?
That's like, okay. That's not the only one. Also, when he comes to the other side of the door and she like catches it, she's just talking to him with a bunch of people around. I'm like,
no,
I was like,
they couldn't hear.
There should have been a scene where she actively knelt down and like put her like her chin like by his shoulder and like whispered something down in his ear. Otherwise, it just sounds like she's talking low enough, but everybody around her would be able to hear it.
I had this comment too because later on they talk when there's not a giant metal door between them that's like 6 inches thick. But all the stormtroopers are standing right there. I'm like, none of these guys is like, hey, Vader, like.
She was saying some.
I got some intel for you.
Could the argument be made that maybe they were all in on it and they all knew that Vader was going to do this? I don't think so.
No, I think we're just meant to believe that stormtroopers are just robots and they don't actually do anything or have a brain.
Fair enough.
Is that true?
No, they're
they have like feelings?
They're people.
They're people.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The biggest missed opportunity they ever had was John Boyega didn't get a full arc as like a stormtrooper that comes back.
Yeah, that's kind of a missed opportunity.
This is the thing that makes me feel like I'm going crazy because I don't know what is me not knowing how Star Wars works and what actually just doesn't make sense with like the stormtroopers in particular. I didn't know.
I think we're just meant to think that they're all stupid.
They have like they're sentient and have a conscience.
With aim like that, why would their hearing be any better?
Yeah.
But like, okay, she could have opened the door the whole time. Like, what was the point of that?
Well, that's the thing. Like, when that scene starts and they're trying to blow open the door with these big mounted blasters, you would be led to believe that the door is so thick that she can't just cut through it, but she does that like 2 minutes later. So
and also talks through it. So it's a magic door.
Very strange.
Very strange. It's literally a plot door.
Keyhole.
It's thick enough that a mounted blaster can't get through it, but you can whisper through it.
But
very strange.
It's literally a plot door that just does whatever you need it to.
We got a lot of
plot
weird
plot door
on this one.
Yep.
Also, is Tala dead? Or did she somehow live?
Somebody says that she sacrificed her.
Oh, no. She dies because she blows herself up with the.
Okay.
Well, if you can survive anything,
I would have rather had her survive than Reva. Indira Varma's great. Moses Ingram is not great in this role. That's just
usually explosions, with the exception of Palpatine. They usually take characters out, even in Star Wars now.
But I will say the best work that she was given to do was the scene where she's at least even if the scene makes no sense geographically and plot wise with the door, her lines and her dialogue and her delivery there was the best stuff she got the whole show. Other than at the end, which we'll get to.
Yeah, I think there was potential there. I mean, we get a lot of background this episode, so I don't want to go back to it yet, but the conversation between Reva and Obi-Wan, we get some of her background story, and with Tala and Obi-Wan, we get a bit of Tala's background story here, but it feels a little out of place, at least to me. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but like they're trying to get out and live. This is not the time to like get the sob story.
Well,
right?
we also didn't need her backstory because we had just been introduced to her, and now she's dead.
Right.
So what was the point of us being invested in her story?
Just build you up a little bit more like, oh, what a cool character, and then we're going to kill her.
Maybe they should have done that in
Didn't work.
that first episode she was introduced in.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work.
And it didn't really change like how you view her character because you already know that she's on the rebel side and she's had a murky past with this stuff. So I don't know.
I have to say that my number one feeling for this whole episode was apathy. I'm just like,
the absolute worst part was Reva screaming, like
at which point
when she was fighting Vader.
Yeah. So a little bit later on.
So bad.
So basically, with this conversation between Reva and Obi-Wan, you find out that Reva really this entire time is just trying to hunt down Darth Vader to take revenge on him for killing all her friends in the Jedi Temple way back when, right? And so she takes this opportunity where Darth Vader is distracted by Obi-Wan's presence to try and get the jump on him, as it were. But I mean, she starts this confrontation like walking quietly behind him, and then she has a very slow, big drawback of her lightsaber and screams at the top of her lungs
for
before
like
acting.
10 seconds. It's like charging at him while screaming, but not that bad. But it was like.
But she stabbed through a door without making a sound, so she's not incapable of being.
Right. And crazy, Darth Vader was able to react in time.
Go figure.
And also, it's like, why would this again, like, why would we be full of suspense when we know that he's gonna win the fight?
Yep.
Anyway.
Right.
Well, and that she's supposedly getting her own show.
And she wasn't even playing the long game like I thought by capturing or killing Obi-Wan first, or at least trying to, before she tried to get revenge.
Yeah, I'm not
Vader.
sure I really understand her motives, even though they try to paint it like as clear as possible. It doesn't really add up.
She's just
in my mind.
Bleh.
Because she seems to be very angry at Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, but she talks to Obi-Wan and she's like, where were you during Order 66? First of all, my guy Obi-Wan was on the other side of the galaxy on a planet very far away. Actually, he was on Mary's favorite planet, Utapau, at the time.
Oh yeah, my
literally fighting a war in the Outer Rim.
Okay.
What's so great about Utapau?
It's a callback. Don't worry about it. But regardless, she talks in a previous episode about going through the records at the Jedi Temple. So
yeah.
surely
Is she just mad at Obi-Wan for teaching Vader?
That's what I thought.
That to me
was.
makes more sense, but I feel like she should have covered that a little bit more and not be like, "Where were you? I was fighting a war. I was literally killing General Grievous. My bad." Like, he didn't know.
She's just like me. And Vader comes off kind of cool, but then an idiot because he doesn't kill Reva.
Yeah, so that's another thing. So she goes and tries to kill Darth Vader, fails miserably, and then as soon as she's basically subdued, the real Grand Inquisitor pops back out. And both of them just decide that it's good enough to just stab her.
Leave her here in the gutter where you started.
The very same way the Grand Inquisitor was stabbed by Reva, and who they clearly know survived, and they just like, all right, she's gonna die. Let's not finish the job. Let's just leave her in the sand.
I don't know who's writing for the Lucasfilm Story Group, but they're not actual writers. This I know. I'm trying to care. I can't even bring myself to, nobody's gonna watch this because it's gonna just be us and that sucked.
Vader just really likes when he can make somebody else pull a Vader, survive. You left for dead, but they survived.
But again, this is not in his character because he will just kill without mercy if someone's in the way.
Yeah.
Poor.
I mean, even before turning to the dark side in Star Wars Episode 3, he just completely beheads Count Dooku so as not to keep him alive. So,
but now,
he was also killing without mercy people who were not in his way earlier.
Yes,
in
which
this
I
series.
also said was a little bit out of character for him.
People were saying that maybe it had meaning when he tried to kill a father and son.
Was this in the?
I have to go back and look at the stupid tweet that maybe thought that was a plot device. But
there's the door that you apparently can just speak to somebody on the other side of with a bunch of people behind you.
Walkie-talkies. They had cans with a string.
Leia was in this episode, still talking like a 32-year-old paralegal.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they have this weird scene in there where there's a few strange things that this whole scene seems like it could have been cut, but basically what happens is her little toy Lola droid that she has with her the whole show, that's where Reva had put the tracker. And then somehow, because this thing has a tracking device on it, it was also apparently commanded to go and mess with the controls for the hangar, which is why the bay doors close. Yes. Which prevents their escape temporarily. And then so Leia, of course, who is the only competent mechanic in this
apparently
in this crew,
the 6-year-old child.
What was her line? Get out of my way. Let me.
Yeah, I don't know. She's very bossy about it.
It was so bad.
I don't know how we're meant to believe that she has the knowledge to do this stuff when nobody.
Or how we're meant to like her.
Right. But
is this anything like her personality in the other films?
Parts of it have been. This episode, I didn't feel that way.
Okay.
So
what parts were accurate?
Just the way that she speaks very confidently and she kind of takes command a little bit. She's very much like that in A New Hope.
Okay.
But
believe it or not, most people who take command for things in their adulthood aren't doing it at the age of 10 while in the middle of an intergalactic war.
True. Very true.
And separated from their parents.
And separated okay.
Yeah, but so eventually she fixes this issue with the control doors, and then it's all good again. So
I'm sure that it
didn't really accomplish much except for saying, look how precocious and capable Leia is.
There was 100 people there. There was no other mechanics. Just the 10-year-old child could do that.
Well, nobody else could fit in the vent.
Oh, okay.
Which is nonsense because why would the controls for it be in there? I don't know.
How did he build that?
But let's not worry about that. Apparently,
I'm in a nitpicky mood today. today.
Can I let me do something surprising? I want to talk about something I liked about this.
Okay, let's go.
No,
no, you're not allowed.
What do you
I know.
wanna
I'm
say?
supposed to be the one who's like hating the whole time. But so there's a there's a flashback scene to what I believe is supposed to be like around the time of Attack of the Clones or just before, which has Obi-Wan and Anakin doing like a training.
Yeah,
they're doing a little lightsaber training session, and we see this in a few chunks throughout the episode, and it kind of they're talking, and it kind of ties into what Obi-Wan's feeling about how he's going to deal with Lord Vader at the time in the present, and it's kind of nicely done, honestly. It feels kind of unique.
Your need for victory will something.
Yeah, and then they go back to what's happening in the present day, and you see how Vader's kind of still making some of these same mistakes.
They call back to it.
Didn't you write down that they should have like de-aged?
Yeah,
him,
so
though?
this is the problem I had with that, though.
Yeah.
I think Obi-Wan actually looked okay.
He looks the beard covers it up for him.
The beard covers it up.
Yeah, but Hayden Christensen looks like he made it to 35 the hard way.
I think that what they tried to do, because he's meant to be like 19 during that time.
He is not
like
19.
Tops. He's not
like,
19. It looks to me like they tried to accomplish this with makeup alone. And as much as people want to rag on CGI, this is
I would love to see that 19-year-old who looks like he's like literally about to buy his first house.
Yeah, you can see the wrinkles on his face. It just kind of takes away a
like
little bit.
it's the cheeks. Yeah, they needed to DH him. Where it's Disney. They own Marvel. Just hire the Marvel de-aging guy that they have over there. Their team of like probably 10 gazillion animators that make Samuel L. Jackson look half his age.
Yeah,
Can't be
well, I
that
mean,
hard.
they did it completely from scratch for Leia in Rogue One, for Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. So should be much easier in theory to do this to him because you actually have his face to work with, and it's not that far off. But makeup alone is not going to do it.
No.
It wouldn't take much. Just get those 11s out from between his eyes.
Down here.
Eh.
We're being mean.
But I didn't.
You're great, Hayden Christensen.
I didn't understand the context of these scenes that they cut to, so I didn't really think anything of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little nostalgia baity, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this whole thing is.
well, that's true. That's true.
Was there anything else you liked?
That's really the big one. I'm gonna be honest.
That's it.
Yeah, I really wish with the fight with Darth Vader, he actually used his lightsaber. Because the first half of it, he's just kind of like dodging and force pushing Reva, which feels a little weird.
The part
And
where
then
he
he
broke the
uses-
sword in two was cool and gave it to her.
He uses her lightsaber, yeah.
Does that have a name? It's not a lightsaber. It's like a light staff.
There's a name for it, but I don't know it.
The part where he separates it and gives her one back to fight with, that was cool.
Kind of because he's like,
Question.
I'm gonna kick your ass anyway. Good luck.
And the part where I didn't hate the scene where like the battle's going on where everybody's fighting all at once. I didn't hate that part.
With in the hangar.
Yeah, in the hangar.
Well, the thing I hate about that is that they walk in with a full platoon of stormtroopers, and
Yeah.
none of the rebels have cover. Somehow,
Yeah, I was thinking
like,
the same thing as another thing. I'm just like making myself feel crazy. Like, does this actually make sense for some
No,
reason
like-
that I'm unaware of?
Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Star Wars has been like, oh, we're going to be as militarily accurate as possible and have tactics that make sense.
Yeah.
But this
Literally
is It's a bit
hundreds.
too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question though. Does Vader use the Force a lot because he's like kind of immobile?
That is part of it, and also he is very, very powerful and very like force sensitive compared to even most Jedi.
Okay.
So
I was just wondering if that was like why the fight scene was so.
yeah, the suit makes me, and you see a little bit of that where Reva's trying to dance around him, and he's kind of slow to turn around because of the suit.
kind of like Batman. Batman, like
Actually, yeah,
because
yeah, that's a
Batman's
fair
neck
comparison.
is like stiff. Like he's like
Yeah, it is kind of
like that's how he moves because of the way the suit's designed. So he just has to be very good at his job to make up for the fact that he literally has a suit that's just poorly designed.
Yep. Well, Vader's is poorly designed on purpose because part of the reason it's like that is so that Palpatine has more control over him.
Yep. So I couldn't, and then we do of course get one thing at the end. We get this image, right? Of Luke.
Yeah, we see Luke Skywalker.
I thought he was gonna open his
Crazy.
eyes at the end. I don't know why.
Only took 5 episodes
Yep.
to get
Yep.
Luke Skywalker in an Obi-Wan Kenobi
What did I tell you?
television show.
What did I tell you?
Man, they hate that. They're just like,
It just seems very strange. to
well,
me.
it's because you know why? It's because the Force is female. That's why.
They do say that. They
do?
say that.
They do
yeah.
that. Yes, the Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm
Yeah,
people
yeah,
say
yeah.
that they wear shirts. They
It's a
had
whole,
shirts. It was from like a promotional
Sick.
thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
So
lame.
So as far as plot goes, the last thing I want to cover here. So after the whole thing with Reva and Vader, and she almost dies, but we know she's going to survive.
Yep.
I guess I can't remember if this takes place before or after. It doesn't really matter. But so the rebels, the whole time they're trying to get this hangar to work so they can get off on the shuttle.
Yeah.
And so they take off in their shuttle. And as the audience, we're meant to believe there's one shuttle. And they take off, and Vader rips it out of the sky with the Force and tears it open, and it's empty. It was a decoy, of course. And
I didn't even catch that part.
And
that's
they take
how
away.
checked out.
They take off. They take off in the second shuttle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't grab out of the sky, despite clearly being able to do so. He just lets it go.
They should have had Reva attack at that point.
They put another tracker on it.
Well, it's even worse than that. They don't need the tracker because, they fly out. Two things happen. One, we know there's a Star Destroyer in orbit around the planet that is more than capable of taking out this one little measly transport, and apparently they get away. Yeah. Secondly, they don't have a hyperdrive, we're told. I don't know why the hyperdrive is busted, but it is. Clearly, it's going to be a plot device. Yeah, because
it seems to be important.
If you don't have a hyperdrive,
I keep calling him Luke today. That's how much I hate.
If you don't have a hyperdrive, you're not getting away from that Star Destroyer.
Yeah,
it's just not going to happen.
So,
but it will. So.
How do you think it ends? We got one. That was the 5th episode, right? How do you think this ends?
Well, every episode has to have Obi-Wan be in the clutches of Darth Vader but get away. Mm-hmm. So we're going to see that again. This is just like Tom and Jerry at this point. I think they have to do that every way. Every time. We're going to get one scene of Luke Skywalker, and it's going to be largely meaningless because, I don't know what else you can do with it. I mean, there's another thing that I haven't brought up where it's I don't even want to say implied, but basically in A New Hope, Luke's never even seen a lightsaber before. So we'll have to see if they
break the canon and hey Luke, here's this. It's a lightsaber.
Right, and he'll be like, oh yeah, I saw that when I was almost killed that one time. But no, he's like, oh, what's that? So.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I literally have no thoughts.
I mean, with the amount that Disney Plus goes back and edits their shit, they can just change Star Wars if they feel like it, right?
You can blame
to fit their new Star Wars content.
You can blame George Lucas for that.
But see, then they would change it and make even more plot holes. You know, I don't think they can be trusted. I guess something else that's going to happen. So we didn't talk about this yet, but there's another weird plot device where there's so many things wrong. So there's a scene where Obi-Wan receives a communication from Bail Organa, which makes no sense because it's not sent to him on a private communication or anything like that. He just gives him this hologram that was totally unnecessary and basically just gives out the planet that Luke is on and the person that Luke is staying with, when Obi-Wan already knows that, so he could just be like, hey, you know the thing? I'm going to go to the location that we talked about.
Let's hope somebody doesn't find this.
I'm going to meet you on Tatooine with,
I love that he was like, I know we said no communication,
but
because it's so dangerous and the Empire might get a hold of it. Lo and behold, of course, what happens later is Reva on the ground finds the communicator,
crazy,
which was conveniently dropped there. So she's certainly gonna go to Tatooine.
So you think Reva ends up in the next episode?
100%.
Okay.
There's no way they set up that whole thing.
Well, I didn't know if they were how much she would be in the next episode.
They gotta set up the spin-off.
Yeah. Well, I thought they already did. Just the spin-off will pick up with her.
Well, I don't even know that it has to do with the spin-off, but they would have had her die in a more obvious way if she was dead.
Yeah.
And they set up this thing with the communicator from Bail in 3 different scenes. There's no way that's not being used for something.
For sure.
And it specifically points to that. All of that led up to her gaining the information about where Luke is.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I literally, I'm hoping that they can pull it out. I saw something where there was an article that disproved that there was going to be a 93-minute finale. I don't think it's going to be that long.
Oh. I'm just here to finish the roller coaster ride.
Just get it over with.
Rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Let's just get it over with. All right, then we're just going to get it over with this episode right now. So is there, if not anything that you're looking forward to, is there anything that could make it even worse? How about that?
Well, like I said, if they break the thing with Luke seeing lightsabers, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do that because they have to have some kind of tension that they're strumming up, which doesn't seem to work because, again, we talked about this from the very start. We know which characters live and which don't.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.